Racist cops. Arrest the wrong teacher. Weeks later, their empire begins to crumble. A traffic stop, a teacher in a cardigan, and a town about to learn what justice really means when two officers pull over a black woman for driving while existing. They don't see a threat. They don't see a crime. They just see power. They want to flex. What they don't know is that she's not just any woman. She's a history teacher, a mother, a survivor, and a symbol of something they can't control. Her name is Grace Elaine Alexander, and in just a few weeks these officers will be packing boxes, and stayed late helping a student finish a scholarship essay. Her car was older, a navy blue sedan, papers and textbooks stacked in the back, tote bag riding shotgun. Her cardigan, still buttoned, hair pulled into a low bun. Face calm, tired, but peaceful. 2 miles from the school, a police cruiser pulled behind her, close, too close. Then the flash of red and blue, the unwelcome strobe of assumption. Grace pulled over, hands already at 10, and 2 engine off, interior light on. She knew the drill she had taught the drill officer. Hank Bowers approached, mid-40s. Stocky, sunburnt eyes, hard. "Turn around, hands on the car," Bowers said. "I've complied," Grace began, but he didn't care. He grabbed her wrist, twisted it, slammed her onto the hood, cuffed her fast and tight. "Resisting arrest," he muttered to his partner. "Non-compliant." Grace didn't resist, she protested. There's a difference, but he didn't see that he saw what he wanted to see. They shoved her in the back of the cruiser. No explanation. No Miranda rights. Just silence and the hum of tires against gravel. Her tote bag spilled onto the seat, papers fluttering, her lesson plans caught in a breeze of injustice. By 8 p.m. Grace was in a holding cell, bruised, humiliated, and stunned. By 9, her best friend Camille had gotten the call, and by 10 she posted bail after borrowing from her savings and calling in a favor from a local lawyer. Grace walked out of that jail, her dignity battered, but not broken. What Bowers didn't know was that Grace wasn't just a teacher. She was the daughter of a civil rights marcher, the niece of a pastor who led boycotts, the mentor of dozens of students who now sat in courtrooms and newsrooms, and one of them was listening. The next morning, Aisha Collins, a 27-year-old attorney, saw Grace's name trending. She had been in Grace's history class, sat front row, asked too many questions, and was always told, "Never stop asking." So she didn't. Aisha reached out, and by noon she was Grace's legal counsel. They filed a formal complaint against Bowers, against the department, against the lies, and then the stories started pouring in. A single mother pulled over for a busted light, made to stand barefoot on the highway shoulder for an hour. A black teenager accused of looking suspicious, tossed against a hood, left with a concussion. A grandfather, named the department, the sheriff. The city, and most damning, discovered that internal complaints had been buried 15 in 6 years, all involving Bowers. None investigated a former deputy, anonymously shared emails showing that supervisors had warned about Bowers but were told to let him be, he gets results. Results measured in broken wrists, shattered trust, and lawsuits. 3 weeks after the arrest, Grace was invited to testify before a state oversight committee. Live cameras, rolling mics. Hot eyes watching, she wore navy blue hair. Neatly pinned voice, unwavering. "I wasn't a threat," she said. "I was a mirror. And they didn't like what they saw." Her testimony went viral within days. National outlets ran the story, CNN, NBC, even NPR. Everyone knew Grace's name now. And then the tipping point. The Department of Justice announced a federal investigation not just into Bowers, but the whole department. And once that door opened, people rushed through. A class action suit followed, then more resignations, then indictments. Bowers was charged with civil rights violations, false arrest, excessive force, and lying on official reports. He took a plea deal. But not before the judge called his actions a betrayal of public trust and decency. The city paid out millions, reformed its policies, appointed a new chief, created a civilian review board, and changed the way complaints were handled. But the real change? That came in the classroom. Grace returned to Monroe High. Her students stood when she entered, every one of them a silent ovation. She smiled, set her books down, and began the lesson. "Today," she said, "we're going to talk about resistance, but not the kind they tell you in history books." And the room leaned in. The story doesn't end with handcuffs. It doesn't end with headlines or courtrooms or money. It ends in the eyes of a student who learns that standing up, even quietly, even painfully, can shake walls, because in the months that followed, Grace's story lived on, not just in news archives but in state policies, in classrooms, in the hearts of people who once believed they were invisible. Her lawsuit settled quietly, but the terms were public, and with that settlement, she founded something new. The Grace Fund, legal aid for wrongly accused teachers. Community members, anyone who had been silenced by cuffs or fear or power. Within a year, it had helped 37 families, cleared 9 false charges, and inspired similar efforts across the state. At the next school board meeting, the crowd was twice the usual size. Not for protest but for support. Parents lined up to speak. Students read letters, and one 10th grader held up a sign that said, "History lives in our hallway. Her name is Ms. Alexander." Grace cried quietly that night. Not because she was sad, but because she knew she had done what she always taught. Not just to witness history, but to make it months later. A podcast episode featured her story. It was titled, "The Teacher Who Taught a Town to Listen." It hit number 3 on Apple's national charts, and teachers across the country played it in class to show students that heroes wear cardigans, carry tote bags, and never raise their voice when truth can do it for them. And Deputy Ethan Hall? He left law enforcement, quietly moved to Birmingham, started working with youth instead. One day he showed up at Monroe High as a speaker for the senior seminar. Grace watched from the back of the auditorium. He didn't see her.